There is a stark moment where we see in this footage from your film, meeting Zelenskyy, how brave he was, even as he's saying, we didn't know how brave we were because nobody had done this before. He was brave. Is there a particular instance of that that stands out to you? Because you bring us some startling ones in the film.
I think my favorite footage in the film is the interview with the First Lady and how candid she was about how upset she was with him, first of all, for running for president, and secondly, for what they would have to endure once Russia invaded. But her support and her strength and their courage as a couple and their openness in this documentary, particularly her vulnerability to show her humanity in those really, really terrifying moments. I mean, at the point that I'd interviewed her, I think there had been 12 assassination attempts on the president, who jokes about them, but they were all very serious assassination attempts. It's just extraordinary to see how human beings stand up to tyranny. And for me, as someone who had spent the past 8 years of my life on a television show with two, at that time, two, now three young children, I wanted them, this was never about Ukraine for me. This was always about American values and democracy and what it is and where it comes from and what it means. And I don't think that those values and those principles are on display anywhere more clearly than in Ukraine.
So elaborate on that a little. You indicate at the beginning that there was something about that pushback that was not anticipated, that was counter to all of the punditry in that early days of February 2022, that gave us a glimpse, us in this country and everywhere around the world, a glimpse of the possibility of standing up to authoritarianism, to a bully, to facing down a bully. And I couldn't help but think that that was a message to us in the U.S.
Absolutely. I think since the fall of the Soviet Union and perestroika, after all of that, after the Budapest Memorandum, the Ukrainians have done their best to develop their economy, to develop their culture. And one of the things that I think is extraordinary about the president, and that I hope is clear from the film, is that he was on a kind of laser-focused search for Ukrainian identity from the very beginning with his work. And I think that satirical sense, that satire and that politically driven comedy that he was interested in doing, which was really poking at authoritarianism and tyranny, was not only dangerous, but because it was so brilliant and funny, very successful. And it gave Ukrainians a sense of confidence in themselves, in their own culture, in their own language, in their own literature, in their own economy, and in their own politics. And they started to thrive. And I think that represented, obviously, a major threat to Putin. That trajectory of that man, from an artist to a politician to an extraordinary inspirational leader, for me, he was always on the same trajectory.